when we are creating solutions, let's carry the policymakers as well along. Community as well, yes, and the one that are making the decision. Let them carry them along. Let them see that they are also important in our creation of the solutions that we are providing to the society.
This is Selam and Hello, where stories of joy and justice vibrate with the rhythm of Africa and the diaspora. Salam, good people, wherever you are listening to us, can I ask for your help? Would you share this episode and would you subscribe? You have no idea how much it helps us. It helps us stay on the air. It helps people who are looking for African-focused, positive content to find us. And most importantly, it gives more space to the amazing people who share their stories on Salam and Hello. So 2 things, subscribe, and secondly, please share our work to every cousin you got. We are so grateful. Asante sana and namaste natin. Dr. Anna Masigwa is a hydrologist and climate adaptation specialist whose work focuses on the intersection of water conservation, agriculture, and resilience. She's based at the Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science and Technology and is currently serving as a research associate at the University of Arizona Water Resources Research Center, where she brings deep expertise on water resources management, climate smart agriculture, remote sensing, and actually using AI for climate adaptation. She has done some award-winning work, and some of her research that really stands out is the work that she did in the Pangani River Basin in Tanzania using AI-powered drought early warning systems to reflect a practical, forward-looking approach to conserving some of the water in the area and addressing some of the most urgent climate issues that we have here on the continent. We are so glad that she's here to share her wisdom with us, to enlighten us about what we can do as normal people. Perhaps you don't live near a water body like us here in Nairobi, where there's no ocean right next door. There is an ocean, but it's far away. But even if that's not the case, even if you're landlocked and you're in a rural space, why does water matter? Some of the answers are obvious and some are not. We are so grateful that she was able to join us remotely from the University of Arizona all the way in the United States, very early for her, late afternoon for me. And we had a wonderful conversation about why water matters and how we can all contribute to living with the land a bit better. Welcome to the show, Dr. Anna Masigwa. So Dr. Anna Masigwa, it is such a pleasure to have you on Salam and Hello and as a part of the Living with the Land series. Karibu sana.
Asante.
We will have to at some point acknowledge the Kiswahili on this call will be very limited. Yeah. You're the expert and I'm just the fan of the language.
Asante sana.
Karibu. You'll teach me offline a few more words after this is over. So it is such a pleasure to have you as a part of this series. We are talking to women who are in leadership in agricultural spaces, researchers, innovators, policymakers. And let's start by just hearing a bit more about your journey to the work that you're doing in water and climate resilience. You grew up in Tanzania. What first sparked your curiosity to go into this field?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I grew up in Tanzania, and that is southern part of Tanzania in a region called Mbeya region. Water was never an abstract in that region because we had water everywhere and water for our everyday life. And I remember as a child, when I was in primary school, I could go to swim in the rivers after school. Wow. So I could see how abundant this water is, yet I could still experience less access of clean water and reliable water for our daily activities back at home. Mm. So we could walk some distance to fetch water for our daily activities, and we could sometimes experience scarcity, whereby we could walk in some months, we could walk farther to fetch for this water. So this experience made me to be conscious that water is a precious resource, and made me to be conscious of how much water I use. So I remember also that when every member of my family used a full bucket of water to bathe, but I could only use half bucket of water. So
Wow.
I was very conscious of like water management. So I venture into, it was not really a direct path that I went to environmental engineering to do water resource management, but of course, after some ups and downs, I went to do environmental engineering, and then later on, I went to do my master's in hydrology and water resource management. And now I'm really specializing in agricultural water management because I realized that agriculture is a bigger consumer of water,
Yeah,
and if we are going um, to have a sustainable water resource management, we have to deal with how we manage water in agriculture. Yeah, so that's how I
absolutely. I'm fascinated by your experience as a young child, enjoying water, realizing you should conserve it and protect it in a way. And you didn't even stop at your master's. You went on and did a PhD to really understand all of the resources and how to conserve it. So, at what point for you did you realize that actually just being even an environmentalist in your own small way wasn't enough? That research connected to agriculture and use of resources was going to be an important part of your work.
Yes, so after I finished my master's degree, I had an opportunity to work with my former supervisor for my master's. It was a small project whereby I was assessing groundwater wells in Pangani Basin. And so during this project, I had opportunity to meet with different farmers, talk about their experience in water use and agricultural productivity. And one conversation stood out for me, whereby one farmer told me that uh, he believed that water underground is really abundant, is unlimited. So no matter how you extract it, it will never run dry. So he also mentioned that it's like an ocean. So this made me to realize that we need better better management of this water, because somebody is talking about like even how much you use it, how much you extract it, it will never be abundant. So this experience inspired me to pursue my PhD, whereby my PhD was all about, I wanted to understand how much water we have in Pangani Basin, where these farmers are located, and how much available water is there, and how much water we are using, and are we using it sustainably? Our practices for water, especially the agriculture, are we really practicing sustainable management of this water? So, uh, it was at that point I realized that my greatest contribution to food system will not really be through farming itself, but through research. By generating evidence and developing the tools that the farmers, the policymakers, the water managers will use to inform the decisions of these farmers, to inform and these farmers, I could contribute to more sustainable agriculture water management and help to ensure that water resource remain available for our future generation.
You know,
Yeah.
your work is so important. The work that you did at the Pangani River Basin was recognized and it's being used to this day outside of Tanzania. For those of us who are not specialists, who don't have a background in water management or agriculture or food systems, I was telling some other people who I've been talking to this series, I like to eat. So that's my connection to food systems. You know, I'm on the consuming end. But we need to be more conscious about the food generators and the systems that serve us. So help us understand in the practical way what this work was actually doing for the common person like myself in Nairobi, in Dar es Salaam, in Arusha somewhere who's listening. What does this work mean for every day and make it simple for us to understand?
Okay, so I will make it very simple for you.
Okay.
So just assume in a household, you
Hmm.
have your spendings. Okay.
Okay.
So you have your income.
Yes.
What we normally have is that you have your income, that is what is available, right?
Mhm.
And then you distribute this maybe into savings, you distribute this into use, like your groceries and all that. So we do all this math together. So
Mhm.
it's the same way when you have a basin. So a basin is like your household. So
Okay.
you need to know how much you're putting in. That is your income. So how much is there you're putting in? So if you're putting in $1,000 and you're spending the whole $1,000, you're not saving anything. So at the end of the day, you don't have any savings, right?
Right.
So the basin, how much is coming in as the water and how much are we using it? For agriculture, how much, what percentage are we using and are we conserving it? So that's how there's also a notion of like this basin is closing, this basin is open, is
Okay.
closing because like we are spending everything.
I
Yeah,
see.
so that was what we needed to understand.
So when you say we're spending everything, it makes me think about all the climate challenges our region sees. One year it's drought. This year we're anticipating heavy rains because of El Nino, at least here in Kenya. I'm not sure about if Tanzania is expecting the same. How do you manage that? How do you plan for that when the water resource is outside of our control in terms of getting more? And at the same time, what we can control is our own use, but we haven't convinced everybody yet that that's important.
Yeah, so that's why we are supposed to continue convincing people that it is important to conserve even what you have.
Mm,
And of course, what El Nino, drought, whatever, we are supposed to have people prepared for
mm,
that. So that comes my work in drought early warning systems, because you are supposed to at least alert the farmers, and so there's an adaptation whereby they can change the type of crop they should grow this year because maybe like they are going to be drought, so maybe they should just plant cassava, they should just plant maybe something else that is not going to take much water as rice and maybe maize. So that comes with the systems. So that's why we are developing systems to try to track and monitor early the drought, the flooding, El Nino, and whatever.
mm.
So that comes my work about early warning systems.
When you're working with farmers, both on the research end, but also now when you have a tool that can help them, do you find resistance? Are they eager for your help? Are they looking for answers already?
Yes, they are looking. So in what Africa has really done is that we co-design solutions. So what this is what I did. Co-designing is very important because you might have your tool. So I can tell you my story is that I had a different idea
Mm,
altogether. I had wanted to develop a tool for water stress detection. So that we just inform the farmers that are doing irrigation when to irrigate. Okay. But when I went to the field, because I wanted to co-design it with the farmers,
yeah,
and um, the farmers told me something different. So I realized that more than 60% of the farmers are using rain-fed agriculture. And so these two will not be beneficial for them. So they had experience, that was 2022, where they experienced this very massive drought during the Masika seasons. And they had the idea of like, can we see this early? All
yeah,
right. So
yeah,
that's came my idea like, okay, so we can have the prediction of drought actually. That of course is the combination of drought and flooding.
yeah.
So code designing is very important for them to accept the application. So far we were ready to accept it. It is there for now, but we are still in the testing phase.
Okay. That's so hopeful, though. This idea of co-design is so critical. I've heard people talk about it, not designing for somebody, but designing with them is the difference between
Yes.
success and failure. So when you think about some of the work that you've done and that even some of your research now is continuing to inform, if we were to come to East Africa, to Tanzania, or even to the Pangani River Basin in 2050, so that's what, almost 25 years from now, what innovations do you hope have transformed agriculture?
Yeah, so maybe I will just be biased, but I
That's
hope like
biased.
every farmer, like every farmer will have an access to a real-time localized early warning system. Remember that I say localized because we have some early warning system, but they are not really localized, so they cannot be used by the farmers. So they have this system on their mobile phones in their language. East Africa is dominant with the Swahili in their language that they understand, and then it's telling them when to plant, when they are expecting drought, when they're expecting to harvest, when they should harvest, when they should change. Now we have this AI that you can ask anything and it can tell you. So I want the farmers to just be like eager to use it. We are using AI to ask questions in our in our research and our students.
Mhm.
So how about the farmers? Can they just text the AI and tell them like, okay, yes, this crop and all that? So this system are embedded, like our system also we integrated with AI whereby the farmers can ask these questions. It's a mobile.
Hmm.
So I know that also in Nelson Mandela, we have people that are also having AI-based tools that can detect pests. So I hope the farmers will have it in their fingertips, okay, in their mobile phone, and it can just be as simple as checking the weather if you want to go out and all that. So this
Yeah.
is really my hope. But yeah, another thing, like how do we use agriculture water management? Right now we are more depending on rainfed farming. Okay, so can we have smallholder farmers that are really not independent of rainfall itself? So I hope in 2050 we build smarter and small scale irrigation systems that this community can own, or they can be climate resilient
Yeah.
so that farmers does not rely only on the rain.
That's a hopeful view. And when I think about things Africa has done well, if we speak very broadly, which is not fair to do in a continent of 54 countries, but one thing that
Mm.
we have done well though is we adapt. We leapfrog, the mobile phone revolution. We were able to take steps forward ahead of what we should have. Before we had landlines, we had a saturation of mobile phones that helped us fill in some gaps. And this potential to have the same thing like M-Pesa on your phone, but now for climate smart agricultural resources is a really hopeful looking ahead.
Yeah.
One thing that strikes me about what is challenging about being in agriculture and managing land and water resources is that you're always having to look ahead at future threats and also deal with the reality of today. We're recording this in June here in Kenya.
Mm.
It's quite cold. I think it's
Mm.
quite hot where you are in Arizona.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
But here we're so cold and we're getting ready for winter to set in. So you're always balancing the challenge of today and looking ahead, especially when it comes to food systems. So tell me, how are farmers already adapting to the climate threat? Because the climate crisis is not anymore tomorrow. It's today. It's right now. We're seeing the effects everywhere we look. How are you seeing
Mm.
farmers, and maybe you speak specifically to Tanzania or elsewhere where you've done research, how are they already adapting?
Yeah, absolutely. If I make an emphasis on this, because the narrative of future threats, we normally leave people in out of the hook that okay, it's future. Farmers in northern Tanzania are already adapting because they have been for years. I've worked mostly in the northern Tanzania, that's Arusha, Kilimanjaro, and they are shifting now, they're planting. So the farmer know already. If you go and ask the farmer, they are aware of what is changing because they've been there and they can see the change. So
Yeah.
they were planting maybe rice. Now they're planting maize. That's an adaptation because they changed the planting. Now they're even changing the planting season. So they plant more now, whereby they could have water for irrigation because some places they could experience flooding. So it's better for them to maybe plant in the shorter rains. So
Yes.
we have two rains in Arusha, Kilimanjaro, whereby we have Masika and the short rains. The Masika is the long rains and the Vuli is the short rains. So
Right.
they are shifting because now the Masika is being delayed
Mm,
somehow, and so they now shift into planting in the short rains.
mm.
So yeah, the farmers are adapting, but my worry is that this adaptation is not really formal. So they get it like maybe you get information from your neighbors, you get after conversation
Right.
with the leaders. So the challenge is to now connect this indigenous knowledge and what science can offer and give the farmers tools and information to adapt faster.
Which is an important consideration. We're talking in this series to policymakers, researchers, leaders. So, as a scientist, when you think about what you're seeing on the ground, and that some of this knowledge transfer, it's informal, it's farmer to farmer,
Mhm.
maybe one hectare to another, and not large scale yet. What do scientists know that policymakers still struggle to act upon? How do you see that link between the science work that you're doing, the research, and then the actual policies that govern some of these decisions?
I could say the agents of now, because as scientists, we have been saying this for decades that the window for effective action is closing, and we are moving from talking about how to prevent climate change again to like adaptation. Okay, so
Uh,
this cutting of trees and all that. We are moving from there to like let's adapt to climate change, but as well, yeah, even the adaptation window requires immediate investment, and we see that the policymakers often operate in cycle of election cycles. In Tanzania, we have like 5 years and 10 years, and so but the climate operates in much longer time scale. And so this is a mismatch between the government. And so if you put the priority of former, maybe cycle of a president and another one, so this kind create a mismatch. But we also know that water insecurity and food insecurity are deeply interconnected. But the way we address it, the institutions that are working on it, they are very much independent from each other. So we have Minister of Water, it has its own agenda and everything. We have Minister, I normally say that we have Minister of Agriculture has its own agenda. So maybe Minister of Water is seen like maybe we need to do more conservation of water and we reduce maybe the application of irrigation. But the Minister of Agriculture is seeing an arable land that is there that require irrigation. So if they don't work together. But as scientists, we see this. I see water, I see agriculture, I see as a whole. I don't see it like independent as the way policymakers see. Maybe another addition is that investing in early warning system, it really does not trigger the policymakers. You understand? Because is is much cheaper to respond to they want to respond to these disasters more than like it doesn't enter their ears yet to now prevent it rather than to now prevent when the disaster has already occurred. Yeah,
Let
so
me
that.
understand that. That's a really, as somebody who cares about the environment myself, I just speak for myself, that is something I'm not aware of. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying it's cheaper to respond to a disaster than to plan for prevention, to plan systems that prevent it?
What I mean is that it is cheaper to
Okay, okay.
plan for the disaster not to happen rather than when the disaster has already happened.
Yes,
But when you talk to the politicians, when
yes,
you talk to the policymakers, it
yes,
does not look that way. It does not look that way.
yes.
It's the politic case for prevention when the disaster has not happened is not. It does not really affect. How can I
Yes.
say this? Yeah, you get me.
I'm getting
But
you. You're just reminding me, like when we go to the doctor, they say the same thing, right? Like prevent heart
uh-huh.
disease, prevent
Prevent.
diabetes.
Hmm.
Once you
Hmm.
have it, to cure you now, it's very hard and very expensive and very harmful. So in a way, as scientists, you're doctors for the nature and for our resources, and you're saying we have to prevent this, not respond to disaster later, because disaster,
Yeah, but
seen it happen.
we normally don't hear the doctor. We will go on and do what so this is what is happening in our political world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let
yeah.
I would love to hear more from you about that. What do you think will make a difference? I mean, you are in the US right now, but you're Tanzanian, you're an East African. This is home for you. What do you wish we did better? Whether it's podcasts like mine, whether it's the legacy media, that are publishing our newspapers, whether it's Facebook, I don't know. What message would you like to hear more for the public to really understand and appreciate the threats that we're facing?
I think we just need to continue. I think now, for example, the scientists they have really gone. We have a very powerful scientists that are doing great job. So we have these technologies nowadays, and we have embraced the technology, and we are developing the tools. I think maybe in a place of maybe universities need to, as I said, the co-designing. So in at the Nelson Mandela, we have students go to outreach, a program we call it outreach before developing their proposals so that they can know really the problem and solve the problem of that industry specifically. So
Yes,
not to just be this university that need is an ivory tower, but are
yes,
we solving genuine real situation problems that are there? And when we co-design, so I have really succeeded in convincing some policymakers in my because I went to them before even designing. So can we uh, like carry them along? So not only the farmers, also the policymakers. Can we carry them along? Can we, when I'm meeting with the farmers, these policymakers will be there and to open the session, that we hear what we are designing, that we hear it. So when they hear it and continue hearing it, and they see that they are also important, because yeah, you cannot just come to my home and tell me what to do, all right? So
yes,
you have to like involve me.
yes.
Okay. So when they feel that they have been involved, so it is easy for them to carry. So I started with the local government. So
Mm,
the local government, the policymakers at the local government are the one that are going to take at the district level. So I talked with the wards officers, the extension agriculture officers at the local ward, and then district. So district, we carry to the, when they are talking about with the regional commission or somebody, they will talk about it.
yes,
So, and then after that, they can talk to the minister and all that. So I think one important thing is that when we are creating solutions, let carry the policymakers as well along.
yeah.
Community as well, yes, and the one that are making the decision, let them carry them along. Let them see that they are also important in our creation of the solutions that we are providing to the society.
I'm struck by the fact that in that circle of community, the scientists and the universities, and then the policymakers, the
Mm.
one place that we're all the same is at the community level, right? I may never be a policymaker, you may never be a policymaker, but we're parts of communities. And at the end of the day, we all go home somewhere that really
Mm.
is counting on us being responsible and resourceful for where we are. I started off by asking you kind of about your own interest in water and how you got there, your interest in science. And now, as I think about, I would love to hear from you kind of as you think about your next steps. Um, and so many of those next steps involve partnerships. They involve exactly what you said. We have to carry policymakers along. We have to include farmers. We have to co-create. In your mind, what makes international research partnerships successful? What looks like a healthy collaboration? We're partnering with the Australian High Commission on this series to appreciate land management and women's leadership there. And I'm curious, as you've had your own partnerships in Tanzania, in the US now, what to you looks like a successful partnership?
I think is a genuine equity
Mm,
that it should that should be there, not just a language of partnership, but
mm,
a practice of it. That makes, like, for example, African institutions are co-investigators from the start, okay? Not brought in after a research has been designed already or something. So are they co-investigators?
mm,
It means resource to flow to where the work is actually happening. It means African researchers have also names in the publication. They are getting credit of what they deserve,
mm,
that they work on.
mm,
It also require um, from both sides an international partnership bring resource and global networks. So
mm,
African partnership bring irrepressible context,
mm,
community relationship. So if the African researchers bring this community relationship, bring the local knowledge, we both, and then when both sides genuinely recognize, if
mm,
Australia, for example, is bringing the funding and African researchers are bringing the knowledge, the law, we should both recognize that what others bring,
mm.
you can produce something far more compared to only you bringing something else. So are we bringing together something and we value what we bring? And it should also be sustainable. Sustainability is very important because yeah, I'm dealing with the sustainability because for example, the early warning system that I'm developing, it need the sustainability, need constant funding.
Mm.
So after obtaining this funding and then like maybe the funding is over, you are seeking for another funding. So maybe you expand, not only you want that tool to work in maybe Arusha alone or Kilimanjaro alone, you want to work the tool to work everywhere.
Yes,
So you need to test it everywhere. So you need funding. So
yes,
can this partnership be sustainable? The
yes.
word partnership, yes. So sustainability is also
Challenging.
very important.
Challenging. I would love to hear from you, given even with all the challenges, you also get to hear some of the successes. You get to hear what's working. And you gave an example early on about when you were co-creating with farmers of them saying, or even the ways they're adapting. What is something that you're seeing doing that's going well in Tanzania that the rest of the world should know about more and appreciate more? A success that you're seeing from home that you would love to celebrate more globally?
Yeah, so the success mainly that I see home is that the what I said about the co-designing, and I can see we are using our indigenous knowledge a lot and embedding it into our culture. So when we go there, they have this their own knowledge. We listen to them. We because they have been there for a lot of
Yes,
time. Me,
yes.
I'm just having like maybe 10 years
Yeah.
experience in the research. But you can find an old man that has been there and coping with the environment, this changing environment for more than 50 years. So we kind want this indigenous knowledge. And I think we are doing it very successful right now to try to embed the indigenous knowledge into science.
Into science, into policy. I love Indigenous knowledge.
Yes.
It is science. It
Yeah.
is a value of that. Is there a simple example you could give of that? Something that you're just mentioning these elders know that we sometimes miss, either in our
Yes.
research or in our policies, that we should appreciate more.
Yes, so like there are a lot, for example, just in water management itself, there are a lot of indigenous knowledge out there, especially in Kilimanjaro, looking at how to do irrigation, how to forecast. For example, indigenous knowledge on how to forecast rain.
Mm.
So they are using these flowering or fruiting patterns of the trees, such as baobab tree, so
Okay.
they can know the way the baobab tree is fruiting or is flowering, they can know the quality of rain that is going to be in that year.
Wow.
And this is so powerful when they've really been getting it right. And another way is the appearance and movement and nesting of some birds.
Wow.
So they can see they know if the rain is coming or not. So like these are just indigenous knowledge.
Yeah.
Talking about the irrigation, like the chaga they have is the faro irrigation, whatever. They had it. They call it mifongo, something like that. So the chaga people they had this kind of the way to do the water management. So yeah, and
That's
many
so
more.
beautiful. I love the baobab tree, and it's so humbling to remember that, before we were here, there were stewards of this land who were
Yes.
caring for it, caring for the water, to not only ensure that we could enjoy it now, but also they were also stewarding the knowledge. They were preserving the knowledge. They were passing it
Mhm.
down so that the next generation of farmers and yeah, in the sense, the agricultural policymakers are actually those who are living with the land every day. I
Yeah.
really also want to appreciate your journey as a woman, a young woman scientist in this field. In this series, we're only focusing on women, actually. We're only focusing on women's leadership in agriculture. We've reviewed some of the data over the years and understood that women, at least in Kenya, make up a primary number of the small scale farmers. Yet when it comes to owning land or being decision makers, they are woefully underrepresented. So I would love
Yeah.
to hear from you what your journey has been like as a woman in science and agriculture specifically. What has helped you stick with it? What has helped you persevere? And, just what your experience has been like in the last, decade as you've really begun your really groundbreaking career up to this point.
Yeah. So my journey has not been um it has been lonely sometimes, even at now that sometimes you're not represented. You find yourself maybe you're the only one your type in the conference in meetings like that. But what kept me going is community and mentorship. I can really say this. When I was doing my PhD, I was opportuned to being selected as 2020 Award One Planet Award Fellow, and award is African Women in Agriculture and Research Development. Of course, you might know it. It's based in Kenya, and this fellowship shaped me who I am, gave me confidence.
Mm.
It gave me uh, confidence on depending on myself, of course, through mentorship. So that we were mentored. I had a mentor who was always reminding me because I will belittle myself. I normally do that. I will belittle myself that I cannot do it and all that. So
Yeah,
through mentorship, you gain confidence. Anna, you can do it. You are great in this. You can do it. Should I apply for this one? Yeah, 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 yeah. You can apply it. You can. You're able. So this made me to gain more confidence, to have leadership skills, and I could lead projects. And this was very valuable. So not only One Planet, now we have, after One Planet, I had other fellowship like the OWSD, the Organization for Women Science in Developing.
yeah,
Now I'm in Shurumbaga Foundation. I'm in Global Young Academy. I meet scientists that have the same challenges. And when you see somebody that has passed the path that you like have passed a certain path and you want to pass there, you have a confidence that okay, somebody else passed this way. And that made me moving up to now.
incredible. When
Yeah.
you look at the field now, even some of your students in the US or your students in Tanzania, what
Mhm.
barriers do you see still exist for some young women who are pursuing science?
Um, I think two barriers I can see is the double burden that we
Mm.
women have and funding. The double burden is that, of course, women in East Africa, they carry a lot of responsibility compared to men. And if the funding is not there to support the families,
Yes.
it's very difficult. For
Yes.
me, I really thank God because when I look back, I had all this opportunity that I could support my family. I had this fellowship. Of course, the funding are very competitive. The funding, some fundings are there that they can support because that is what women need so far. We need funding that you want me to go for a postdoc, but are you going to support my family? Because I don't want to leave my family. I don't want to leave my children, maybe to be taken care of somebody else. And that burden of leaving your children,
Yeah.
it's make you not to concentrate in research and all that. I had an opportunity to have this OWSD funded me when I'm doing research. They could fund for me to have a caregiver, a
Mm.
caretaker, let's say, to take care of my children while I'm doing research. So
Wow.
even when you can go for conferences, you can pay for this caretaker that will help you to take care of your
Yeah.
children. Right now, I'm privileged to have the Schrumberger Foundation, whereby they add you, if you have children, they add you some money so that you can be able to support. And so these funding are so valuable and they're so important. So if we could have more partners, more international organization, or even our government
Yeah.
can look at how to, because all in all, we women are different.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can we cannot run from that,
Yes.
even if we say 50-50, whatever, but we are different. We carry a bigger burden of responsibility compared to men. So we need more support,
Yes.
the support system to be there.
Yes.
So yeah.
I appreciate you just being so honest about that and just saying these are practical ways that we can support women in science and agriculture. It's not hard,
Mm.
actually. It's very practical,
Yeah.
making sure that they can maintain family life and a professional life, and neither one has to be compromised. And just
Hmm.
hearing you say about the mentorship you got through these different programs and also the funding, what a powerful combination to sustain a career. We all need that. We all need that wherever we are.
Yeah.
Um, as we close down, I would love to just for us to focus again about, just the theme of this series, which is about living with the land, not on it, but with it, really being in sync with our resources and the earth that we are stewards of. When you people will be listening to this conversation in Tanzania and Kenya, hopefully around the world, in Australia, elsewhere. What is one thing that you want people who are listening to understand better about water or land or the way that we're stewarding our natural resources? If they had to remember just one thing, like Wangari Maathai used to talk about her one thing, what would be the one thing you want people to remember from this conversation?
Um, the land, the relationship about land, all this first of living with land is not about domination, it's not about extraction, it's about relationship.
Mm,
So the farmers I've worked with across Tanzania understand this intuition, and um, is that relationship. So now I work in transboundary in transboundary basin, that is
mm,
Tanganyika. It's being shared by Zambia, Congo,
mm,
Tanzania. This relationship between the land, the water that I have, that we have, it should bring the relationship between these countries. And if I say in a nutshell of the small farmers, the way you use water, for example, in upper catchment,
mm.
the relationship between upper catchment and the down catchment, is there any relationship? So I think living with the land, we should talk about the relationship that is existing between the users of this land, and
Yeah.
not really domination of the land. I think
Yeah. I like how you said that transboundary, before we put borders, those were the similar communities, right? We were migrating from
Yes,
east
yes,
to
yes.
west to north and south. So that relationship has always been there, and putting that relationship at the center of what we do and how we think about land is a really powerful idea. So as my last question for you, when you hear the phrase living with the land, what comes to mind and what gives you hope?
Uh, as I said, I've worked with the farmers across Tanzania, and they know that the land has a rhythm, the land has limits, the land has needs. They
Yeah.
understand the land has needs, so they will make sure they do intercrop cropping because the land has needs. They have to have fertility and all that. So they have built their lives around listening to the land,
Mm,
what the land needs. So it's even even when it is has been hard to maintain the land. And what give me hope at this moment is that the knowledge is not lost and it is being held in the community, in elders, in practice, and that make them to survive even in modern pressures. And they have pushed in them to be in the direction of resilience. So I see generation of Africans that if they now embrace the knowledge that these elders have been going through and with the technology that we have now, I can really see policy and I mean I can see really hope and making tools or systems that the policymakers and the local farmers will again use and make their life much better compared to how they are living now.
that's really a beautiful way to wrap up the series. And what's giving you hope is also giving me hope. So thank you for your insights. Before
Thank
I
you
let
so
you
much.
go, my last question is in Kiswahili, Tanzanian Kiswahili, that beautiful Tanzanian Kiswahili. How do you say living with the land?
Kuishi na land, how can I say? Because okay, land is me forgetting Swahili.
Yeah, I
Don't
put you on
mind
the
me
spot.
sometimes. Yeah. The land is ardhi. Kuishi na ardhi.
Koishi na alvi. Koishi na alvi.
Ardhi.
Koishi
Yes.
na alvi. Beautiful.
Ardha. That's ardhi.
Okay, koishi na ardi.
Ardhi.
Arvi,
Ardhi.
Arvi, Arvi.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow.
Ardhi.
I might
D
have to
is
cut
a
this out.
DH. Yeah. It's a somehow difficult word that I
Yes.
don't think is there in other languages because we
Yeah.
have DH.
D-A-T.
DHA. Da.
Ardi,
And then there's
Ardi.
R alone. So
Yes.
Ardhi.
Ardi.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Masigua, for your wisdom and just your availability, taking the time to teach us, to inspire us, to guide us about why water really matters. Listeners, this is a wrap up of this series, and we want to bring you more stories that are practical from some of the leading thinkers, researchers, innovators. So send us your feedback, send us your comments. What did you learn? What was missing from this conversation? Maybe there was a topic that you really wanted to learn more about that we didn't get to as we talked to these three incredible scientists. Dr. Anna Masigua today, Dr. Agnes Kalibata from our first episode, and episode number 2 with Dr. Dinah Boris. Each one of them contributed such valuable insights from research, policy, and advocacy. And yet there is still so much we could cover. So tell us what's on your mind. We'd love to hear from you. So send us your comments, send us a message, and also please subscribe and share the work of Selam and Hello. It makes so much of a difference to us. It helps us grow. It helps us stay connected to you and to the stories that matter to you and to all of our communities. So subscribe and share. That's my request. If you enjoyed the episode, please, even if you didn't, still subscribe and share. It means a lot to us and we deeply appreciate it. And And we'll see you next time. We'll be back soon with more episodes of Selam and Hello.